Can I ask a little question?
Cooper's thinking about, I want to get into the property market.
Great players.
It would have been Rod Stewart.
You've got to turn over some of this roster.
My chafe got so bad.
Wow. Well, what about that, Matthew?
Amazing. What are you talking about, my jacket?
And your Ugg
Because
boots.
I tell you what's happened. Let people know, if I look slightly odd, it's because I wear my pyjamas and I've just thrown a coat over the top.
Yeah. Well, we're straight in reviewing that State of Origin game, and I don't know anyone that saw that coming, especially that first half. Like, no one could have predicted that.
I think statistically, probably the greatest first half in Origin history.
Yeah, I think so.
Without a doubt.
Well, you said before the game, and you in an article said New South Wales 13 plus, and I even thought that was slim. I even thought that was reaching.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, that first Queensland just didn't turn up the first 20 minutes.
Coops, tiny little things make a massive difference at that level. And the bottom line was New South Wales were absolutely desperate. They needed to win. And you saw that in every single thing they did. Queensland, you could just see in the performance, they just lacked something.
Yeah.
Now, we'll talk about this at the back end, but, mate, New South Wales, mate, honestly, you cannot, I have seen this a million times, they cannot afford to get ahead of themselves because a lot of those players that haven't played at this level before, they will be shocked at the reaction or basically the reception they get up at Suncorp Stadium.
Yeah.
This third game, this decided could be one of the most hyped games in Origin history, and they will be, like the Queensland fans will be, it will be so hostile. So you've got to expect that a lot of the 50-50 decisions will go, they will exert pressure on the referee.
Yeah. Well, even in tonight's match, a lot of the 50-50 decisions went our way.
Our way.
Nearly every 50-50 decision went our way.
Yep.
But like you said, you could just see in the second half, people started to just get carried away and do. I said to you during the game, I said, I'm actually beginning to want to see Queensland come back into this game because the carry on from some of the boys out there, it was like, guys, you haven't even finished this game and you just got beat the first game. Maybe there's a whole nother game 3 to go. Maybe just put the egos back in the box for a little bit.
I sort of agree with you there. I don't know where you started to be so prudish. One.
No, but it's just the way it is.
I get that, Coops. I get that. I know Billy. I'm almost certain that Billy will show some of that stuff on the video.
Yeah.
Why
give him ammo?
I totally agree. But, Coop, though, I think it summarised the New South Wales performance and the mood they were in. Just that high level of aggression. And, sometimes that's going to spill over. Let's summarise the match, right? Crucially, let's summarise this game. What this shows, Coop, is that it clearly highlights that in Origin, you need to be squeaky clean. Right? Now, because errors are going to be punished. Right? Yep. You give a side field position, given the quality of the attack and quality of the players and the quality of the halves that are there, mate, you can, you give away an error or give away a penalty, and the opposition can go down and dominate yardage for a period of time, can dominate possession for a period of time, or you just start bleeding points, and that was the case. New South Wales won this game primarily on discipline and ball control, which are the most basic fundamentals in rugby league.
Yeah.
But we always say, Coop, going into the game, they always say, you got to do the basics well. It's become a cliche. It's boring, but guess what? It's true.
Yeah. And when you say discipline, it wasn't the fact that they were being, soft in a way where they just didn't want to give away penalties, but that first 10 minutes, they were aggressive, but they were controlled aggressive. We probably saw game one, the aggression was too much. Obviously, Suoli'i gets sent off. Yeah. But we were so aggressive and physical that first 10 minutes in comparison to game one, but we were no penalties, forcing errors from them without actually being ill-disciplined, which is an art form in itself because it's so easy when you're flying up trying to put hits on and be aggressive to teams to,
spill over.
Yeah, spill over, hit them high every now and then, or be offside. But the discipline from, especially the New South Wales forwards, was really fucking good.
That was one of the highlights, the controlled aggression. And they set the tone from the kickoff, Coops. If you go and watch the kickoff, it reminded me of the one in the mid-2000s, 2003, 2004, where New South Wales kicked off, and Danny Medeiros almost hit Shane Webke as he caught the ball. He sprinted down that hard. Now, New South Wales, when they kicked off, they just took off and held Queensland in their own 5 metres.
Yeah.
And that first, I think that first set of sacks really set the tone for New South Wales as far as aggression and as far as winning that yardage battle.
Well, a good sign is always when the kicker on that first set is kicking inside their 40-metre line. That's always the goal of a forward pack, say, let's keep them inside their 40, and that stems off a good kick chase and a deep kick-off. But it's always, especially in State of Origin, it's always a good sign when they're kicking inside their 40.
And part of it, Coop, you can be disciplined, you can have ball control, but at the end of the day, once you get up in that opposition 20 metres, you've got to make a bird of it.
Yeah.
You got to be really good. And this is, you got to be able to kick well. And Mitchell Moses and Jerome Luai, their kicking and their control was outstanding. We got so many repeat sets. They kicked tries. And remember at one point, it's funny, when you listen to commentary sometimes, they'll go, oh, wow, what about this? New South Wales got 65% of possession. Yeah, well, they have, because Queensland make errors. We get repeat sets and we score tries, which mean they kick off.
Yeah.
Like, it's no revelation. When you do those things well, you're going to get line share possession.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said with the kicking game, really took advantage of obviously the individual height and our attacking strengths, which was the kick targets, but also just how clever they were in some of those repeat sets. Particularly Luai just dribbling in behind, catching Walsh out a few times. They obviously, Walsh did a lot of video obviously on Mitchell Moses being the predominant kicker, so he was hugging that side a lot. And it was a good sign that Jerome was kind of overcalling a lot of the time to get it, because you could see Walshy out of position.
Mitch Moses was the star, no doubt about it. But Jerome Luai, he was excellent. And you know what, Coops? Part of their performance, the halves performance, was in this game they'll give them full control. Right? They'll give them complete. Now, let me explain that. In the New South Wales side, if they're not careful, they'll get the balance wrong. Given the fact we've got Jake Trbojevic and we've got Isaiah Yeo coming off the bench. Two guys who are ball players in themselves. Yeah. Now, that is so easy to become sideways and pass happy. And there was a fair bit of that in game one. I don't think I've ever seen Isaiah play so sideways as he did in game one. Go back and watch the game. Jake and Isaiah, everything they did was just run first. Jake sometimes got that ball, there might have been something on, and he had the discipline to go, no, I'm just going to take the yards. Isaiah Yeo, I believe, I might be slightly wrong, but I'm almost certain, did not pass the ball to the 65th minute. Right? And what that did, Coop, that gave full control of the halves. Yeah. The halves ran the show. Yeah,
but like you said, that first game they were playing sideways, and a lot of that came off playing off slow play the balls.
Yes, it did.
Geez, tonight the quick play the ball, Cam Murray, Payne Haas in particular, some of the quick play the balls they get and then the ruck speed they were creating for the halves and for your Gerbos and Isaiah Yeo's, the ball playing, it just allowed us to actually play good quality fast football, because that game one, much like Queensland, the opposite, they were actually really slow play the balls, and then they tried to do what we did game one, where they're like, we haven't shot a shot yet, we need to start playing some footy, and that's when you see Tom Dearden and blokes like that come up with errors, because they're playing off slow play the balls, and Mitch Moses is just shutting them down.
We did, mate. The side they picked, it was very easy. It was easy to pick where they were going to play. Right, they were going to blitz right through the middle of Queensland. So Queensland knew it was coming. They knew it was coming, but it's another thing to stop it. To control the speed of the play of the balls. Excuse me.
You're welcome.
No worries. And so for New South Wales, the guys who really blitzed them through the middle, Payne Haas, Brian To'o. Brian To'o just never gets dominated.
Unbelievable.
Just rolls forward. He was a real unsung hero. Scored 2 tries, but just what he did in yardage.
Yeah.
Haas, To'o, Dylan Edwards, Dylan Edwards just didn't stop. He just chipped away, and nothing makes a big middle defender tire like missing little guys with footwork.
Yeah.
It just burns them out. It's like a boxer. When boxers throw a punch and they hit the target, it doesn't really suck juice out of the tank. When they throw a punch and they miss, that's the thing that really chews up their energy. And it's the same with middle defenders.
Yeah.
When little guys get in there with footwork and they're spinning around and they're beating one, they're beating two, mate, that takes an enormous toll. And I thought that Zach Lomax was again very good in yardage.
Even and underestimated quality of Jerome Luai, and he does it a lot. But even when he just gets on that left with nothing on and kind of just comes back across, and sometimes nothing might really come of it, but just the fact that he skips back across and forces the middle forwards on the other side of the field to have to come up square and worry about him, it just zaps gas. Like, it just zaps so much gas out of those middle forwards.
And Liam Martin and Angus Crichton complemented Mitchell Moses and Jerome Luai so well.
Yeah.
It was a little like, okay, the reasons we weren't primarily as it was on ball control, discipline, and aggression and defence. But there was some nice, but you need to be able to score points. And there was a couple of really nice little tactics. If you go back and watch a couple of times, the ball players, Mitchell Moses, the first try of Liam Martin effectively, which appears to be running a bad line. He's running a parallel line to Mitch Moses, but at the very last second, he straightens.
Yeah.
Right? And that, he straightened it between Dearden and Hammer, threw them completely off and went through. Angus Crichton did one in the second half as well. Now, that is just a subtle thing, but it's just clever.
Yeah.
It's clever, smart football.
His line was just on the outside of Dearden's sight. So his first instinct when he sees Moses pass is, he's on my outside shoulder. And you see Dearden in that first try just turn his shoulders outwards. And when Martin, rather than running that unders line from the start where Dearden can kind of put him on one shoulder and just tackle him, because his first movement's on the way out, and as he turns out, Martin does that nice little straighten.
Yeah.
It's, like you said with the punches slip, like he just misses him by that little bit because Dearden's on the way out, he's on the way in. It's a beautiful tendency.
It was, and what it does, Coop, when the back rower and the half, when they run a parallel line like a bad line, what that encourages the defence to do is slide with them.
Yeah,
and they slide, and the straighten is the thing that catches them out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the big moments, and all of these big moments just about stem, all of them just about stem from errors. So New South Wales' first try, our first attacking set, the thing that I really liked about it, Coop, was patience. We saw in game one, New South Wales panic a little bit and put some rush kick in, resulted in 7 tackles. So New South Wales were down on their first attacking set of 6. They were given 2 6 agains, which tests a half's patience because you go, mate, we're throwing so much at them. And I believe in that we got a repeat set as well, a little grubber through in a repeat set, and that resulted in the Liam Martin try. But again, comes back to the point, we just didn't rush. We went. It's funny, isn't it? When you go in with the attitude that you're going to build your game bit by bit, sometimes the points just flow.
Yeah. So and this might be going a little bit ahead, but a huge key moment for me, talking about not rushing. Jerome Luai gets tackled, right, and his boot comes off. And it's 5th tackle. The worst thing in the world for a kicker is when somebody takes ages on 5th tackle to play the ball, like, because you get a heap of kick pressure. Queensland got a heap of time to get set, and they would have put kick pressure on Moses. And I was thinking, geez, Jerome, you're not helping Mitch here at all, 5th tackle. Like, he wants to put an attacking kick in. But they use that, like, they were so patient, use that time. Mitch looks up, sees Reece Walsh not really watching what he's doing. He's standing over near the post thinking that they're going to do a kick for Crichton. And Mitch goes, well, bugger this. While he's just standing over there, shoots down the short side. Walsh, he doesn't even notice him going down there, plays the ball, goes down, takes it into the line, just dribbles it behind for one of the easiest tries of the night for Brian Toto. Like, little, and like you said, a lot of the stuff come from errors. That was, for me, that really epitomised Queensland's attitude on the night, where it was just a lack of attention to detail.
Well, the other one, Coop, we gave our first try away in game one from a 7 tackle set. Our second try Queensland do a bit of a rush kick, desperation kick, rolls over the in goal. We march downfield, and I think it was Mitch Moses puts in a really quality kick, and Stephen Crichton comes down, grabs the hammer, and just drags him into the in goal, injures him as well, hurts his shoulder, drags him into the in goal. We get a repeat set, and what is really crucial here is we get the repeat set, and in the next set of 6, Coop, what I really like is that Jerome Luai doesn't stuff around with Latrell. He catches it, he takes one step to sort of half commit his man, then he goes ping, and he shoots the ball to Latrell to give Latrell time. Yeah. Now, you watch, right, when Latrell gets that ball, and he's got Val on him, and Val's in his sights, but Xavier Coates, who, fantastic winger, great defensive winger, but the presence of Latrell, he just gravitates towards him. Yeah. He just doesn't trust that Val can wrap him up. And you just watch Xavier. He just gravitates so slightly, and Latrell goes bang, flick pass to Brian To'o, and they score.
Yeah, that was a quality try, that. And like you said, the presence of Latrell, although he wasn't, and we sort of said the first 15 minutes, when's Latrell going to implement himself on this game? Because you're seeing a lot of blokes out of the backfield taking tough carries. Latrell probably didn't get his hands on the footy as much as he would have wanted to, but that's where he comes into his moments like that, when there's just no other centre in the game that puts a team under that and puts that much doubt into an opposition winger, where he goes, Val's not going to be able to make this one-on-one tackle, and it just allows him to put away Brian To'o.
And New South Wales' third try, again, Queensland give away another penalty, and we score the next set of sits. We march down the field, and this time Mitchell Moses puts just a perfect attacking kick for Lomax, who leaps over top, scores a great try. What did we interviewed Mitch Pearce, right, in preview on the Origin. What was the crucial thing that he said about Origin and what you do in attack?
Yeah, he said your fifth tackle is the most important play, and sometimes just putting it up there and creating one-on-one contests for your kick targets is the best play you can do in State of Origin.
And Coop, this is why field position is so important. When you win the yardage battle, you win field position. When you win field position, you are constantly in a position for attacking kicks, and eventually you're going to pinch a try.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to get one.
Yeah.
Fourth try, another Queensland error. They kick out in the fall from the kickoff. That's when you know a side's off their game.
Yeah.
They haven't got their heads on. New South Wales marched down. Another gem of an attacking kick, Brian To'o, second try. Fifth try, Coops, another Queensland error. Again, New South Wales capitalise. And Angus Crichton, again, go and look. Angus Crichton goes straight through on the Liam Martin line. Little parallel line, little straight and late, goes through the line. Dylan Edwards, he passes off to Latrell. And Latrell goes over.
Talking point from that try, a few people saying forward pass. What was your take? Because as a ball player, you know what it's like when you're getting inside pressure and you play short to your back row and you fade off on your pass. Sometimes it gives the mirage like it was a forward pass. Did you see it that way?
I didn't think so, but you're right. Sometimes when the playmaker, he might have just basically flattened out the last second or just pulled back a little bit to Jerome. And that gave the impression. But I think out of his hands it went backwards.
Yeah, talking about Angus Crichton, geez, that is as good a game as I've seen him play in. Of the last, as far back as I can remember, that was probably Gussie's one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
Coop, he has had a remarkable last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
He was mighty in State of Origin 1.
Yeah.
He is, do you know, like, I'll tell you what's funny. When do you think, let's go back, what was the turnaround, do you think, in Angus Crichton's football?
This year?
Yeah.
I can't. Well,
yeah, I'll tell you what it is.
What?
When the Roosters signed David Fifita.
Oh,
when they signed David Fifita, Angus Crichton came out and basically said a few things. He was filthy. And from that moment, he has elevated his game. Given what Angus has gone through in the last 18 months, I don't think I've ever seen a turnaround like it.
No, absolutely. I think you and Connor Watson, when he was on your show last week on the Sunday show, said it. Him and Angus Crichton were playing reserve grade in round 1 of this year. And then talk about a turnaround. 2 State of Origin players were playing, 10, 12 weeks ago are in reserve grade. Imagine being that reserve grade player, coming up, finishing a day's work, and then the next day turning up and you're playing against two blokes that in 10 weeks' time are playing State of Origin. What a nightmare.
The last try before half-time to make it 34. I love this because we spoke a lot about this going into the game. For a playmaker, the nightmare of attacking against Stephen Crichton. And Stephen Crichton in this one takes the intercept. You know, Coops, this is what I love about Crichton. This is what makes him so dangerous, right? Is that he runs a really strong system on his edge. You can see he's talking to the blokes. He's rallying his adjustable part on the inside and he's talking to his winger on the outside. But I'll tell you what he does, Coops, is that I've never seen a centre who can basically, he
anticipates.
He reads a playmaker's intentions so well.
Yeah.
And look at all the big games. Like for Samoa in the World Cup semi-final against England, picked off an intercept. In the grand final against South Sydney, picked off Cody with an intercept and picked one off here. Is that he'll go up if a ball player wants to take the ball all the way into the line and look for the absolute pass, mate, Crichton will pick him off.
Yeah.
And that's, you know yourself, Coops. When you're playing against those players down that edge, my God, you find yourself second-guessing all the time. Ryan Girdley used to be able to pick off intercepts brilliantly as well. And whenever you went down his edge, you're going, do I throw it or don't I? They have presence.
Yeah.
That's what Crichton
Well, Selwyn
has.
Cobbo's like that as well. When we've done video on the Broncos in the past, the same thing. They used to say, be so careful when you're attacking against Selwyn because he'll go for intercepts at any time. And you find yourself in the game sometimes just throwing a dummy just because when you should have passed sometimes just because Selwyn's there. Same with Jason Saab. When even at training against Saabi, someone who's so tall and so quick, and you know if you throw an intercept to them, it's a full field try. So you go down there all the time as a ball player and you second guess. Critter's no different, and Critter actually anticipates it better than anyone.
Well, Coop, as a playmaker, what's the one thing you see when you're going to when straight after you get picked off an intercept, you see space. That's why you throw it. Every intercept I threw, I looked and went, we got him. But all of a sudden, that centre goes from sort of sliding and holding his shape to going bang. That's what Crichton does very, very well. He'll hold his shape. And in fact, tonight, Coop, what was really interesting, I was interested in how they're going to defend Reece Walsh. And he came around and we said before the game, how do you defend him? And me, you and Jack, and we said, well, you got to go outside in because of his speed. Have a look. When they went around the back to Walsh, the first time in particular, Crichton went at him and then goes back and just bides time, and trusts the man inside him that he'll do some of the legwork and pick him up.
Yeah, Cameron Munster used to be really good at that. He used to call it, it's a common phrase, but balking.
Yep.
So as a half, sometimes if there was a fast fullback or a fast half out the back and he wanted to give his back rower time, he would pretend to jam so that they would slow their run up to go for the quick hands, and he knew they'd see him coming, he'd just immediately back off. And that little stutter that it causes in the ball players, which Critter was doing to Walshy tonight, just buys that half or back rower an extra 2 meters to be able to slide to get to him, rather than allowing him just full steam and using his gas. It's such a subtle thing in defence, but it makes such a huge difference for your edge.
And natural footballers do that.
Yeah.
Like what frustrates me when some of the stuff I see with the modern game, Kurt, is that coaches will put a system in place and the outside man will just come hell or high water, just follow that system and rush in. And that's why you see, on those sweep lines, those block shapes when you've got Reece Walsh and back in the day, Billy coming around the back. And as soon as they catch, they throw double cutout. Now, they throw double cutout not because they see it. It's because they're watching the tape and they know that's the tendency of the winger. Whereas really, really smart defensive players, they know when to stay in the system and they know when to break out of it.
Yeah. Well, majority of edge systems, and a lot of punters at home would have picked this up, like everybody's checklist is if you're a winger and your centre jams, you just have to follow in on the next man. But the best wingers, they follow in, but then they also read the pass. So they can get in the passing lane and take. That's where the best players take your intercepts, and they might be able to knock the ball down to save a try.
This is one concern I took out of the game, and it was the same in game one. I know for a fact that Billy, his thing was that we're going to shoot down the left-hand side of the field when Swadley was there. The combination was Swadley and Lomax. And Billy made the point to Queensland. He said Lomax, more often than not, finds himself slightly disconnected, from his centre. Happened again tonight.
Yeah.
Happened again a couple of times.
Yeah.
There was a try in the second half. I think it might have been Queensland's second try. When you go back and watch it, Crichton sort of goes up and holds his shape, and it's subtle. Lomax is just 2 steps behind him.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
It's they go down a short side. Harry Grant takes off down the half. It goes Dearden, quick hands. Crichton has to come in on Dearden. They're down a number. Quick hands to Hammer. And Lomax, like you're saying, just disconnected with his centre. And then Hammer puts away Murray, and then they kick for Hammer. It is a tendency that we did say that the Queenslanders are looking to expose. So hopefully it gets fixed up in Game 3.
Another big warning for New South Wales, and I'm sure that Madge will be reminding them straight after the game, is that second half, all the New South Wales' errors or penalties, Queensland scored off.
Yeah.
Right. So Queensland making errors and us scoring wasn't exclusive to New South Wales. It's just that we were more disciplined. But the errors we made and the penalties we gave away, they scored off.
Yeah, in that second half. Yeah, well, and like we said earlier, that probably came down to more of a ill-disciplined, a little bit of queuing into the rack sort of thing. But I mean, in a game like State of Origin, when you've lost game 1, you haven't really, the team itself hadn't really proved a lot yet. Like they should have been really wanting to be really squeaky keen to have a really good 80-minute performance to practice for Game 3 up at Suncorp, because that's going to be a huge test for a lot of these players.
Right. Let's talk about some of the key battles that we're going to define this game. Reece Walsh versus New South Wales edge defence. As we said before, Stephen Crichton, rather than go outside in, sort of went at him and then steadied off. But again, we go back to the point, just that one warning. For Zachary Lomax, he's got to look brilliant in attack. But again, he can't be disconnected, because Billy's going to look at it and he's going to go, boys, we've got him Game 1, we've got him in Game 2. That's where we're going in Game 3.
I thought they left Latrell alone a lot more than I would have thought. I know in times gone past that when Latrell was playing centre, they really wanted to make him work in attack. In defence, to take away his attack. I think probably given the way they started, they probably lost their way a little bit game plan-wise. But they didn't attack down that edge a whole heap.
But guess what, Coop? When they did, mate, he monstered them.
Yeah.
Latrell. So here's the thing. Before we talk about Latrell and the other key battles, here's the thing before I forget it. And we said this going into Game 2 before they selected the teams. To an extent, current form with players is a means to an end. But State of Origin is about picking the best players. Pick your greatest players, because great players elevate themselves. There was a big question about Latrell, fitness-wise, is he going to do, hasn't played in the centres for a while. He elevates himself. Like he just goes to another level. And, you see Crichton do it, and many, many times you've in State of Origin, mate. Like back in the day with Wally Lewis, there were times that Wally Lewis didn't look fit at all. He wasn't really playing that good, back in the Queensland competition, but he's always the first bloke picked. And most times, I think he got the most man of the matches ever in State of Origin history, because great players can elevate themselves. Don't get fooled into the fact of saying, this great player, he's a great player, but he's not playing that well. Forget about it. When they get on the biggest stage, they will perform. That's what they do. Latrell versus Val, I like that matchup before the match, because Latrell's size, his speed, his presence, he won that clearly.
Oh yeah, very easily. He played outstanding, Latrell. Like you said, not a heap of involvements. He's not that kind of player, but when he did get it, he just owned it and he dominated every moment.
Yeah. Stephen Crichton, Hamiso, again, that was going to be a really important matchup for us. First touch, Stephen Crichton straight over the top of the hammer.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, that battle I sort of gave an even kind of battle. I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon that second half Hammer got it over him in terms of they made a couple of line breaks down there. Hammer scored a really good try. In terms of subduing that edge, Critter did a huge job in because that Game 1 it was a hemorrhaging that just couldn't stop. But Critter over there today, especially that first half, like he absolutely dominated defensively. I just think Hammer had a pretty good impact that second half as well.
Coops with Crichton, it's a lot of the stuff you don't see. Like, when they go to an edge, like when Dearden or the playmaker or Reece Walsh will go to the edge, and then they go, oh, it's not on, and they adjust the other way. Mate, that's the quality of a defensive decision by Stephen Crichton. And there was one in the second half as well where Hammer got the ball in a bit of space. And most times with the Hammer, people will go, whoop, and they'll pull back. Mate, Crichton just went bang, hit him around the waist and just dropped him.
Yeah, it goes at him, mate. So confident with his, because it's so hard, especially someone that quick. If you go at him, sometimes you lose your footing, but he's so confident that because he's long too. Yeah, so once he gets a hold of it, he doesn't let go.
That's part of the reason picking those intercepts off.
Yeah.
And Mitch Moses versus DCU, your old teammate, DCU.
Yeah.
Look, Mitch won by knockout.
Yeah.
Right, he won by knockout. But what do we say about halves? They're at the mercy of their forwards.
Yeah. I think Ches couldn't do a lot. They were completely out physical and they were out aggressed from the first 10 minutes. Mitch Moses played outstanding, 4 try assists. I don't know the last time I've seen a halfback in one game of State of Origin have 4 try assists. It could be the most ever, really.
I was trying to think. Some of the ones, maybe Thurston back in the day. I think Joey in that big comeback game he played in might have done 4, but yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah, to have 4 direct try involvements is outstanding.
Who are your 5 best players and why?
My 5 best players. Is this in order?
Just throw them.
I'm going to throw them out there. Mitch Moses, obviously, he got player of the match. He was outstanding, controlled very well. Brian Toto. From the first carry, you said it, just continued to find his front the whole time. Never been put on his back like a baby.
I liked his haircut too. He cut the hair short for the occasion.
Fresh fade.
Yes, fresh fade. You know, players are right. Did you just get a haircut before big games? I always did.
I liked it a couple of days before, not a day before, because it was sometimes too fresh. The boys, particularly in the modern game now, if you have a fresh fade or a haircut, the boys would slap you in the back of the head. Did you ever have that back in your day?
No.
The boys do it now. So if you have a fresh fade, if anyone sees it, they'll say, I like your cut, and they'll slap the back of your head. Like they'll slap where the fade is.
How juvenile.
Yeah, it is. It's childish. Latrell Mitchell, like you said, he was outstanding. Payne Haas.
Wow.
I thought he was I think he ran... Jack was reading the stats, actually. The first 23 minutes, apparently he already had nearly 100 metres.
It was 19 minutes in, ran for over 100 metres.
Yeah, who does? He was a machine. And then our man, Angus Crichton, Gus Bus, he was outstanding, just so physical. That shot he got Val Holmes with, Jesus.
Yeah, he did.
Really knocked him out.
Don't use the Lord's name in vain, mate.
Forgive
Even
me.
when it comes to Angus Crichton, it's going to be hit on Val. Mitch Moses, best game of his career, Mitch.
Even at Clubland?
Yep.
Yeah.
Best game of his career. He was very good in Game 3 last year, but had a long absence because of his foot. Little questions about, because he didn't shoot the lights out for Parramatta on those 2 games on return.
No.
But Madge had faith in him, and we've been looking around for a long time to find... We said Mitch the other day, probably since Joey retired.
Yeah.
We've gone through that many halves trying to find the right solution. Haven't been able to find it. We might have found it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, as well, Mitch has always had knocks on his career about fading in and out of games. Where he'd have these real good 20, 30-minute periods of like attacking brilliance, and then he kind of go on the back burner. It was always a big thing. Everyone was like, he can't play for 80 minutes. But today he was in it for the whole. I think he's a dad now. He's mature. As halves get more mature, they start to, really develop their game. Or maybe I should have stayed in the game a little longer.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny, when I had you, my football went backwards. Angus Crichton, powerhouse. I've never seen a career turn around like it. Jerome Luai, I've put in there. I think it was the most responsible, disciplined game I've seen Jerome play. Just moments in attack where he would save the set by just using a bit of patience and composure, and then composing himself on that last tackle. Couple little left foot dinks into the in goal. His kicking was outstanding. Payne Haas, he got New South Wales really critical. You got to start well in those big Origin games. He got New South Wales dominating early.
Yeah.
And if you talk about another big matchup, he versus Paddy Carrigan, no doubt
Yeah.
Payne won that over his Broncos teammate.
Yeah, that's a good list. Can I ask?
And last one, I had Liam Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Liam Martin, aggressive. He complimented his ball players and everything he did. And worth a mention too. Dylan Edwards, Cam Murray, Latrell, and Zach Lomax, but the other guys were my 5.
Can I ask you?
You don't need to ask, just ask.
No. That's how I like to segue this question in. Looking forward to Game 3 for 1 second. Can I look forward there? I want to ask you, Mitch Moses, obviously the game of his career. Talking about changes, if Nathan Cleary comes back in the next couple of weeks and plays outstanding, obviously Nathan's, the reigning best player in the world. If he comes back, do you think about putting him in the side, whether it be him and Moses in the halves together or taking Moses out?
You got to stick with the winning side, Coops.
Yeah,
you got to stick when you win, particularly if we win, by a field goal or it's a bit of a scratchy performance, but we win by 2 points. There's a possibility you cannot change that side.
Okay, I'll ask you this then. Say Jerome Luai gets hurt. Would someone like Nathan Cleary coming into the side being partnered with Mitch Moses, would it take away from Mitch Moses' game? Or would you keep Mitch Moses with more of a running 5'8" like a Nico or a Cody Walker?
That's a good question, Coops. They've never played together.
Because they're both 7s, you know?
Look, Coop, the thing about it is they're both really intelligent footballers. They work out the balance.
Yeah.
They work out the chemistry and talk about double the trouble with their kicking games.
Oh, yeah.
But again, coming back to the fact is that what Madge did a really good job with in this game is giving all the power to Mitch and to Jerome.
Yeah.
Come back to the point. Jake Travojevic, just run the ball. Don't worry about those little passes out the back. Isaiah Yeo, who's, I think, probably the most intelligent player in the comp, I still maintain that. No passing. 1 pass, 65th minute. Just run the ball. Leave it to the halves. Play simple. Put all our energies into that last tackle option.
Yeah.
That's what we did really well. But again, here's something for you, Coops, because you know Billy very well. Billy has been testy this Origin series. I'll tell you what, he versus Madge going into this third game is going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
The old glass houses.
I know. I like the glass houses. I love that one of the reporters in the press conference before the game. Did you see that?
No.
So a reporter, they had a like an open press conference in Melbourne where reporters and fans were there. And the first question they said, "Hey Billy, what's your house made of?" And he goes, "Oh, it's got a bit of glass in it." I thought that is so funny. What a ballsy comment for a reporter to say.
It's funny, isn't it, when reporters turn up sometimes in State of Origin time, because a lot of the reporters, it's sort of like it's a mass media covering it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of the media that will turn up there probably don't understand. Like, they might be fans, but they do ask naive questions, some of them, or some of them just sort of misjudge and go to make a funny comment, and and you see the coaches just go straight back at them.
Yeah.
But it'll be, and it worked. Like in my opinion, like everyone's questioning, going, right, well, why would Madge say that? And the conclusion they came to was the fact that it took pressure off the players.
Yeah,
it took pressure off everyone talking about Latrell going to. Well, took some of that talk away from Latrell. And I tell you the other thing, Latrell's presence in turn took pressure off Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards wasn't spoken about nearly as much as when he was first selected in Game 1. And, that was a ballsy decision from Madge, to drop Teddy. Because Teddy was good in Game 1, but for Madge to stay the course and say, no, I'm going back to Dylan Edwards. The formula of this football side needs to change.
Can I ask a question about? We've spoken a lot about New South Wales, Queensland, Game 3. Is there any changes you think for that?
Coops, I don't think so. I think Billy will just
keep that side.
He'll back him to get it right.
If a Cameron Munster comes back maybe for 1 week, I don't know how Money's injury is going. Would you put him in? Apparently, the boys say he's been bouncing around training, looking pretty good. So,
Coop, I think
He walks back in.
Let's go back to my point 5 minutes ago. Great players elevate themselves. I don't. They're without a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion.
One more
Most
question.
will go in.
One more question for you then.
Go on.
Would you ever consider, if you're Billy Slater, considering how well he played there in game one, would you ever consider maybe, and Reece wasn't at his best tonight. He put his hand up, Reece Walsh. Would you consider Hammer going back to fullback and bringing Selwyn Cobbo back into the side?
I don't think it'll happen. I think there'll be consideration with Selwyn. If Selwyn's right to go, I think there'll be consideration because historically that game, the game at Suncorp Stadium, the origin of Suncorp Stadium, you can move the ball a lot around. Its onus is on attack. It's advantage attack as opposed to defence. So I think if Selwyn's right to go, I can see him going back on the bench. But Reece, he'll keep Reece. Reece was underdone tonight. Reece has played very little football of late. Had the bad knockout, missed football there in his comeback. He came back pretty cold. Like he hasn't had much football, and to miss all that football, and then come back at that level.
Yeah. Playing behind a pack that got dominated.
That's been dominated heavily.
Yeah.
Then, Billy he'll stick the course with Reece.
Right.
No doubt about it. Well, Coops, I tell you, that was... there's your
beautiful.
Man. Look at
Those
that.
who are listening.
For those who are listening, he's just picked up a photo of Jake Travojevic that he's printed out.
Put him on a frame. We're going to give him a little...
What a head. What a head it is. It's a real buff head, isn't it?
Gerbo's got a head only a mother could love. Here you go, Jake. Give you a kiss right on that.
Well, nice work, boys.
Right,
Congratulations, Madge. But we come back to the fact, cannot wait for Game 3. Anyway, Coops, let's go and get some sleep. I've got my Jimmy Jams on. Let's hit the sack.
Go and rub one out.